bruise in the way it hurts. For months on end I've had my doubts, denying every tear. I wish this would be over now, but I know that I still need you here. You say I'm crazy, 'cause you don't think I know what you've done. But when you call me baby, I know I'm not the only one. You've been so unfadable. Now sadly I know why. Your heart is unobtainable, even though God knows you kept mine. You say I'm crazy, 'cause you don't think I know what you've done. But when you call me baby, I know I'm not the only one. I have loved you for many years. Maybe I am just not enough. You've made me realize my deepest fear by lying and tearing us apart. You say I'm crazy, 'cause you don't think I know what you've done. But when you call me baby, I know I'm not the only one. You say I'm crazy, 'cause you don't think I know what you've done. But when you call me baby, I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one. And I know, 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 and I know. I know I'm not the only one.
It is Sam Smith coming through with I'm Not the Only One. And this one came from his debut album In the Lonely Hour, which released back in 2014. It was also co-written, this particular song, and released through Capitol Records. It went on to do exceptionally well for Sam Smith indeed. And he's had some incredible collaborations through the years. He's dabbled with musicians outside of the genre of R&B, the likes of A$AP Rocky, the likes of Burna Boy, and really just showing his versatility as a singer-songwriter. And I like to make reference to a conversation that he had with Kelly Clarkson, who's just another phenomenal human being. I had the pleasure of interviewing her many years ago, and she came to perform in the country, and she's just so personable of an individual. And they once sat in conversation with Sam Smith, just dissecting the lyrics of some of their radio hits and fan favorites from the albums, and where those stories came from, and also reflecting on whether or not they had regrets on some of the work that they put out there by way of sharing and indulging too much in the emotion. on the show, we get fixated a little bit on the process of things. It is the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga. I hope you are having a fabulous Friday thus far and wrapping up what has been a phenomenally productive week on your end. Fridays, we take it easy, siyakekeleza, as we say in vernacular, and it's all about fabulous fun conversations with friends of the show, and today is no different. We're going to be catching up with Idols South Africa season 11 finalist Loyiso is going to be joining us. He's since gone on to do incredible things in the music industry. He's a singer-songwriter and producer, and he's got some new music out, 2 new singles, in fact. So we'll be catching up with him for full access. And also coming up, we head on over to the Eastern Cape, and they're hosting the Creative Sectorial Parliament to reimagine the cultural economy. So we'll have that conversation and see what the plans there, as they're outlined, what they look like and what the objectives are behind that. Have you seen the Esther Mahlango exhibition? Have you given yourself time to go down to the Wits Museum? It actually opened last year as we celebrated Gogo Esther's birthday. I had the honor of emceeing that particular event, in fact, in Johannesburg, the Johannesburg leg. Then I knew I was good at painting Esther Mahlango. So we're going to be talking to the curator around that coming up in the first half of the show. You definitely don't want to go anywhere. It is the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, on SAFM.
Shop your share of 1 billion rand in savings with Spar Rewards. For even more, switch to Spar Mobile to get free data in store on these great deals. Get 1 kg Kellogg's Cornflakes for $64.99 plus 150 megs free data on Spar Mobile. Or 200 gram Baker's Tennis Biscuits, any 2 for 40 rand plus 100 megs free data on Spar Mobile. Prices valid until 7 April while stocks last. T's and C's apply.
The boxing ring will be dominated by strong and heavy punches. Who will be named the King of Gauteng between Manuel Sekele and Simon Mueti? In the flyweight division, Tiamo Zwane of Northwest battles it out with KZN's Bonelo Maseko. Also in the flyweight division, there is more exciting bouts this Friday evening. This is the National Boxing Championship. Witness the powerful exchange of punches this Friday, 28 March at 6:30 p.m. live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
A big storm is about to hit Mzansi as Daily Lotto will make it rain lots of cash this March with a guaranteed 1 million rand jackpot today. It's raining jackpots left, right and center with a flood of chances to win big. So grab your tickets now for your chance to make every day payday. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Smart SME by Santam is tailor-made insurance built for small businesses. Even you, Austoli, selling a scones from your kitchen, or you, Mr. Buy My Mixtape with the home studio. Smart SME is tailored insurance that covers it all. Your offices, stock, and cars. We cover the all in small business. Visit santam.co.za or SMS Smart SME to 34852 to get a quote. Santam, this is freedom. Santam is an authorized FSP, a licensed non-life insurer and controlling company for its group companies.
Get ready, South Africa. The queen of R&B, Keisha Cole, is bringing her soul-stirring hits to your doorstep. 3 unforgettable nights, 1 legendary voice. Experience classics like Love, Heaven Sent, and I Should Have Cheated. 26 April at the Big Top Arena at Carnival City. 27 April at Sunbed Arena, Times Square. And 28 April at Grand Arena, Grand West. Book now at theticketpro.co.za. Keisha Cole, live in South Africa. Brought to you by Glen 21 Entertainment.
SASSA Gold Card beneficiaries can still come and collect their new Postbank Black Card, avoid the risk of not receiving your grant, and join over 1.3 million beneficiaries that are already conveniently receiving their grant using the Postbank Black Card. There are multiple selected outlets nationwide where you can swap out your SASSA Gold Card for the new Postbank Black Card. All you have to do is dial 120 star 355 hash to find one near you. Standard rates apply. Postbank, your bank.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
All right, we are catching up with singer-songwriter and producer Loyiso, hailing all the way from Uitenhage in the Eastern Cape. He first gained national attention back in 2015 as one of the fan favorites on the 11th season of Idols South Africa, where he actually reached top 5. And might I say, Loyiso, I think a lot of people had you pegged for being the winner for season 11 of Idols. How are you doing?
I'm good. I don't even remember, to be honest with you. It's been so long ago, and my career has just changed so much
Yeah.
that I honestly just forgotten about where I started. But this is a great reminder. Thank you so much for reminding me about where I come from. It's always great to look back and be like, oh my God, this is how far I've come. Thank you for having me, Bridget.
It's a pleasure. I completely get the sentiment of when your career starts sort of finding that snowballing momentum, that you're just moving from one moment to the next moment. But do you take time to sort of sit and sit and take stock and reflect and at least soak in every step and every level that you manage to achieve as you go about fulfilling your dreams?
You know what, Bridget? It's so hard to do that, because one thing that I am really good at doing is looking forward and trying to get to the best possible outcome in my career. I mean, my goal is global domination. My goal is to be one of the biggest artists in the world. And when I'm trying to chase that, it's hard for me to look back and be like, oh yeah, I did that. I'm always like, okay, no, that's just another step. Let me just go to another one. But it is important. It is important. It is important to look back and be like, this is an achievement that I've been working towards, and I finally did it, and I should be proud of myself and tap myself on the shoulder and be like, this is what I've been working towards. And I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be better and really congratulate myself in every moment. So, yeah, I'm trying to do that.
Paint me a picture. Growing up in Uitenhage, I've not been to Uitenhage. I don't think I've even driven past Uitenhage. I know it in as far as the weather services mentioning mentioning Uitenhage. Were
they different names?
Were they dusty streets in Uitenhage in your neighborhood? What was it like for you?
Absolutely. I mean, I had a really dynamic and versatile childhood, because I didn't only live in Lokshini. My mom progressed. She studied and she became something, and then we moved to the suburbs. And there were times where, things were rough, and we would go back to Makulu's house and live in Lokshini and experience that dustiness. And I think that's where my grit and the hardworking part of me comes from, is knowing that I come from there and I don't want to live my life there. I want to move and be bigger. And also seeing my mom coming from a smaller town in Uitenhage, a smaller space in Uitenhage, a much more poorer place in Uitenhage, and actually make it to the suburbs and take us to great schools. So I'm grateful that I had a versatile upbringing, in the fact that I learned different ways of living, and I experienced different ways of living. So Uitenhage, it's all in all, there's nothing going on. The only thing we have is Volkswagen, VW, Goodyear, but like, other than that, there was nothing really going on. So I was really determined to make it out and make a name out of myself.
And determination, Loyiso, is such a big part, I think, of succeeding within the creative sectors, right? Talk to us about how you sort of you keep rooted in the vision that you have, and you spoke about global domination, and no doubt that vision is slowly starting to align, because you became the first South African artist signed to Republic Records. and
Yeah.
you've captivated a global audience. Clearly, that speaks to your determination and your focus, and your resilience and steadfastness in achieving
Mm,
what you want for yourself. That global domination.
mm, mm. I think one thing that I'm grateful for is growing up in a supportive household. Umama has always been someone that would say, Loiso, this is how I feel. And adopting those characteristics in the way that in the vulnerability that I have now
Mm.
makes a big difference in how I live my life. Because if I'm able to express myself, that means I'm able to be free. I'm able to do what I'm doing. Freedom comes from vulnerability. If you're able to feel everything,
Mm-hmm.
that means that you're free from all the shackles and all the chains that the outside world, whatever perception that people have on the world, you are free from that because you are able to look inside and be like, this is how I feel. And every time I sang, I'm always like, I feel from the depths of my womb when you sing. This is how I
Mm.
feel. And for me to experience that meant that I could live freely. And living freely means that I get to dream and I get to vision and I get to see things that people otherwise hold themselves from seeing. And I've had this vision my whole life that I would be on a bigger stage. I would be like the Sam Smiths,
Mm-hmm.
performing stadiums. Like I always saw that, and that's always the driving force. And the fact that I've been given this gift of music that doesn't only transcend on the shallow end, but it's deeper. It transcends to your heart. It transcends to your emotions, to the process of thinking, the process of changing your life, to the point where people say to me, Loiso, you've changed my life.
Mm.
Loiso, the way that you sing and the words that you say have impacted my life to the course through my course of my life now. I live in those words, and it's like this is exactly what I was born here to do. And how can I stop when this gift that I have is so deep that it grows other people. So it means that I need to grow and be bigger so that I can share this with everybody. My goal is
Mm.
to touch everyone. And I think that's what keeps me going. And just to see my life changing too, changing the life of my family, being able to be an inspiration to my little cousins, my little brothers, my sister. It's been such a great experience to be, even though I'm young, I inspire my kurbamu, no malume. What oh no, so the way that you're doing everything that you're doing, it makes me think of those days when I couldn't share the way that
Yes.
I'm feeling, or the way that I see things. So they start to like in the instance of me starting my fitness journey. A lot of people, even Umama, she looks at me and she's like, dude, I need to start running because like what's happening. I can see the change that's happening to you. So it's being an inspiration. Honestly, that gives me the drive.
I love it. We're going to take a quick pause for the headline news and then we'll come back on the other side and continue our conversation. And as we catch up with South African singer songwriter Loyiso is joining us today for full access. And then, of course, we're also going to hear some new music from him. We're going to sample one of his new singles, High, in just a matter of moments. For now, though, it's the headline.
ShopRite's low price promise means that we fight harder to bring you low prices on the products you need most. Swipe and save with our Essentials combo and get 750 ml Sunfoil sunflower oil, 400 grams Norox soya mince, 2.5 kgs Super White Super Maize Meal, 2 kgs Right Brand rice, and 500 grams Right Brand spaghetti or macaroni. All 5 for 99 Rand. Valid until 6 April. Only at ShopRite.
It all started with the advice from their private advisor that gave Sbu and Sibs access to the right credit that stretched where their savings couldn't, that funded the dream wedding and used the rewards that flew their parents in for the special day.
Mom, Dad, doing the photo.
Advice that plans for the big day and all the days after. Unlock invaluable with FNB Private. Help changes everything. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider. TCs, earn rules and limits apply.
I am Dr. Nobuhle Nkabane, the Minister of Higher Education and Training. National Student Financial Aid Scheme has grown from a budget of 33 million in 1991, serving 7,240 students, to about 54 billion in 2024, supporting over 1 million students. In the 2025-2026 financial year, NSFAS is allocated 48.7 billion, including 39.3 billion for universities, 9.1 billion for TVET institutions. As we gradually implement the comprehensive funding model, we will continue to work with all funding stakeholders to ensure that multiple bursary schemes are consolidated. NSFAS has supported more than 5 million beneficiaries, producing hundreds of thousands of skilled professionals and the middle class, especially from within the poor and working class sections of our society. We are committed to moving post-school education and training forward, and we wish all our students well in this academic year.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
All right, we're going to try again. We're having just some glitches from our end, but we want to bring you the headline news. So let's see if we can take that headline news with Utsila once again.
Thank you, Bridget. In the headlines, the criminality of the so-called water mafia is severely affecting small-scale farming operations in several parts of the country. This is according to Professor Bridget Masinga, who specializes in water security at UNISA. Northern Cape and Northwest search and rescue units have retrieved the bodies of 2 teenage boys in Delportshoop who drowned on Wednesday. It's believed the boys attempted to swim in the Harts River. And Myanmar's ruling military has declared a state of emergency in multiple regions after a 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck the country. Details at 2 o'clock.
Arts, culture, and robust conversations with Bridget Masinga.
Alrighty, we are going to continue our conversation with Uloi. So, and you've got some new music out, right? You've released 2 new singles, High and Higher. And before we get into High, walk me through just firstly this project. The genesis of this project and what it speaks to.
It's a very interesting. It speaks on my journey. For a long time, I was young and I couldn't really think as far as I do now, and I couldn't really understand the music business the way that I do now. And I think I got myself into situations where it was people making decisions on my behalf, and people looking at my voice and being like, "Oh, this is gold. Let's take it. Let's take this treasure and let's sell it to the highest bidder." and it's as harsh as it sounds right now, that's how I felt for most of the time. That this was just a product to some people, and that affected my music making, and that affected what I wanted to make, because it was always controlled by people saying this is what you should be making because your voice is so much closer to Sam Smith. So do what Sam Smith is doing. Maybe do exactly what Sam Smith is doing, or be an R&B artist. Just be a soul artist, nothing more, nothing less. And for a long time, I was battling with my own identity as an artist, and the more I spent in producing and writing, I found myself having much more power than I thought I did, and those opinions didn't matter anymore. And then I made these songs that when I was signed I couldn't release because it wasn't what was liked or what was perceived to be my identity that they had created for me. Um, so High and Higher are basically my graduation. This is my graduation. This is the part where I say, I'm taking back my power. I saw this. I saw my music career going a certain way. I saw the impact that I'm making in the way that this is how I should be making it. And for a long time, I couldn't release these songs. These two songs that you're about to hear now, I couldn't release them. And when I got out of the deal that I was at, I was finally like, this is it. And I knew, and everything fell into place without me trying too hard, without me going and knocking on doors and like really stripping myself out of my dignity. I kept myself inside and I knew that this is what I need to do. And the right thing will come, and trusting in God and trusting in the process and trusting in the universe aligning me to the right place. I finally found a place where I was like, I found peace, and this is the music that I want to release.
Yeah.
So these are the two songs that are part of a larger project that I'm going to release later that are truly, truly me and really inspired me to own myself and own my music and own my space in the world without being controlled or being told what to do.
And you know, that sort of battle, Loiso, I think is a battle a lot of artists can identify with, right? You go into your record deal, especially as a young artist, you may not have clarity of where you want your career to be or what you want your voice to be. But a record label then comes with their imagination and their vision of where you must place and who you must be, and the voice and the sound and the image, and as you grow as a young artist and you cement yourself and you find yourself, that tug and pull between what you want to say and how you want to say it, and perhaps the plan that's been laid out by this record label, oftentimes find themselves at conflict. I find a lot of artists, when they talk about leaving their record deals, it's really because of that tug and play of not having the flexibility to then evolve into your truest sense as you see it as an artist.
Yeah, even with you, Bridget, I mean, if you weren't able to say what you wanted to say in your space right now, you would feel like you're locked in a closet or you're in prison. And that's not what you want to feel. You want to feel free. And for a long time I felt like that. And I know there's a lot of people that experience that in their everyday lives, even the workplaces, whether they teach at a school or whether they work at an office job. There's spaces where people feel like I could be doing more. There's ideas that I have, but nobody listens to me. Nobody thinks what I come up with is important enough because they have their own ideas and my ideas don't matter. And part of people growing and part of growth is finding a place where you're appreciated, because you could work at a place and it could pay well, but does it satisfy you? And for a long time, I wasn't satisfied. And yes, I had this big record label with so many people that are there. I could find anyone that could put me in with this one and this one. I could travel to places and there was financial support. That wasn't fulfilling me. I needed to have, I could have 0 rand right now, but I am happier because I have control over my thoughts and my ideas and my vision.
Yeah.
And that's how I inspire people to look in their lives and look inside and be like, am I really happy? Is this satisfying me or is it paying the bills?
Absolutely.
And finding that sweet spot to say, listen, this is how I'm going to make money, but I know in the end, I'm not going to be here forever. I'm not going to stay here for another 5 years. In the next 2 years, I'm going to move on and I'm going to do my own thing, building the blocks.
Absolutely.
So that's my word. Yeah.
Loisa, we have to leave it there for this afternoon, but really thoroughly enjoyed being in conversation with you. That was singer-songwriter and producer Loisa, and of course we're going to exit this conversation by playing one of his new powerful singles, High, with the anticipation of that full project coming up later on in the year.
I'm going high. Nothing's gonna change my mind. I already set my sights. No hesitation. I got all my expectations at a different kind of elevation. Tired of feeling down and out. Voices that I'm drowning out. Nothing's gonna hold me down. Knew from the start it was hard and the odds were against me. Knew in my heart nothing else in this world would distract me. Talk to the stars and they told me the light is inside me. You just look up to the sky and you'll know where to find me. I'm going high. Giving in my all is all I've known. I won't fall, even when my heart is breaking. Do what I gotta do to make it. Giving in my all is all I know, and I won't fall, even when my heart is breaking. Do what I gotta do to make it. From the start, it was hard and the odds were against me. Knew in my heart nothing else in this world would distract me. Talk to the stars and they told me the light is inside me. You just look up to the sky and you'll know where to find me. I'm going high. From the start, it was hard and the odds were against me. Knew in my heart nothing else in this world would distract me. Talk to the stars and they told me the light is inside me. You just look up to the sky and you know where to find me. I'm going high.
Alrighty, that was Loisa coming through. High is the name of that song. It's a precursor, a little bit of a teaser for the upcoming project that's coming up later in the year. And of course, it is available for you to download wherever you get your good music. We are catching up with the folks now from the Eastern Cape Provincial Arts and Culture Council, and they are hosting the Eastern Cape Creative Sectorial Parliament to reimagine the cultural economy. And the moment marks a bold step for South Africa's creative sector. We're catching up with the CEO of the Eastern Cape Provincial Arts and Culture Council, Monde Nkasawe, joining us now. How are you doing, Monde?
I'm doing okay, man. I'm doing okay. Good afternoon to you and to the listeners. Yeah.
Thank you so much for the time. First and foremost, the Eastern Cape Provincial Arts and Culture Council, a significant body considering the vibrancy of the cultural exports in the Eastern Cape.
Indeed, it was established in particular as an entity under the Department of Arts, Culture, Sports and Recreation, as part of making sure that we drive, the funding of up-and-coming artists of the Eastern Cape in particular, over and above everything else related to training, but more like the funding aspects of it. Yeah.
And considering I always say the Eastern Cape is rich with arts and culture. You know, listen to any South African radio station, and 10 out of 10 of the local musicians that will be played somehow have their roots in the Eastern Cape, not to mention the other cultural disciplines. But it's also a province that, as you say, where artists struggle with development and they struggle with issues of funding, even though they've really given us the creme de la creme.
That's actually why we even call ourselves the home of legends. Part of that comes from the traditions of arts and culture that as a province we have produced over the years. So of course we have challenges in terms of development, of making sure that we nurture talent and sustain that talent and promote it and develop it to its greater levels of expression. And those are the challenges of the day, but it's true that Eastern Cape has come far, in terms of, being a center of renaissance when it comes to the arts. I wouldn't claim that we are better than any part of the country, but I know that the Eastern Cape has made a major historical contribution to the expression of the arts in the country.
Yeah, we'll claim it on your behalf. Don't worry. Also joining us in conversation, Marisa. Is it Marissa or Marisa? Machaya.
Correct.
Coming through, creative entrepreneur and film producer from Seismic Media. Talk to us, as someone who practices in arts and culture, Marisa. Let's talk about the significance of a gathering such as this, which facilitates the reimagining of the cultural economy in the region.
Thank you so much, Bridget, and thank you, Mr. Nkasawa, for joining us on this conversation. I think for us, especially as the practitioners and creators, the opportunity to be in spaces with legislators and policymakers at this point in time is one that we highly, highly appreciate, and the fact that we're able to co-create these solutions with the decision makers in the space and the lawmakers allows us to almost believe in this new wave that is going to be coming out of the Eastern Cape.
By way of the lack, right? Because you practice in the sector, so you know the challenges that are faced by creatives in Eastern Cape, and what would you say perhaps is at the top of that list, the burning issue that needs to be addressed with a sense of urgency?
I think the acceleration of making sure that things finally happen. I mean, I've been in the sector since 2004, and I've always constantly had to leave Eastern Cape, go to Joburg, go to Cape Town, spent many years in Cape Town because I kept coming back and going back, and I kind of had to make a conscious decision of being one of the developers from the creative side of ensuring that we accelerate this conversation, right? We can't be saying the same things we've been saying for the last 10 years. So that's why I'm saying this moment that has been created now is one where we have no choice but to perform. And we can't be the province that's known as the home of legends, but then our legends are leaving. So for me, I'm almost trying to recruit the return soldiers to come back home. So, so I think that's what I'm excited about at this particular time. And I think the province and government and the legislature is very conscious and understands of the urgency of that moment, because obviously we've seen the growth of KwaZulu-Natal Film Commission, for instance, that's now evolved into the Film and Tourism Authority. So things are moving, and you can't be waiting for anything else. But now it's time to implement, and it's time to almost ensure that we meet the moment.
Absolutely. Monde, and that speaks to my question around how does the province ensure the bringing back of skills to the region, right? Because a lot of the times to make a success and to build an industry like KZN has managed to do, you got to be intentional about bringing the skills and retaining the skills in the province.
Indeed. That is a part of a series of interlinked programs that are driven by a number of stakeholders, not only by ourselves, but to ensure that there is sustainability in the work that we do. For example, if you listen to our MEC for Finance, you would have noticed that there is a big contribution pertaining to film development, a commitment of about 70 million rand over the next 3 years, which talks to an accelerated series of actions that are intended to make sure that we are, as you say, intentional about building the capacity for sustainable development in the area of the arts. So there's a number of things. I mean, of course, we know that there are many, many challenges that we have to deal with, which we are now going to focus in terms of, addressing them.
Wonderful.
For example, we support, as my entity, we support filmmakers. But at the same time, we have challenges in terms of making sure that films that are produced by artists from the Eastern Cape that we would have supported do not have platforms of, broadcasting. So we're now having a challenge of making sure that we are working with the SABC and all other, platforms where films can be challenged.
Absolutely. Monde, unfortunately, time ticks by so fast on the show, but we'll have a lengthier catch-up somewhere down the line and unpack more of the work that's been done by the Eastern Cape Provincial Arts and Culture Council. It's just gone 10-2. Let's take a quick pause.
Hollywood Bets. We're making life even more exciting by bringing you all the furious fun and fantastic fortunes of March Mania from Pragmatic Live Casino. Enter the dazzling worlds of roulette, blackjack, baccarat, and more, and stand a chance to win a share of 200,000 Rand. Simply bet 50 Rand or more on any Pragmatic Live Casino game between 3 and 30 March, and you could be in line for some big wins.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bets supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
Do not be fooled. Smoking kills. Across the globe, more than 8 million people die of tobacco-related diseases every year. During the broadcast of this radio advert, which is only 60 seconds, 16 people would have died from tobacco. Quit smoking and vaping. If you cannot resist this lethal habit, please protect non-smokers and children. Do not smoke or vape in public places or near children. Inhaling any tobacco product, whether through smoking or vaping, can cause cancer, birth defects, heart, lung, and oral diseases. All tobacco and related products are harmful to your health. This message is brought to you by the National Department of Health.
Algerian giants, the People's Club, plan to impress their home fans with victory before traveling to Mzansi, while the Buccaneers want to triumph away and complete the party in Orlando in the second leg. This is the first leg quarterfinal clash of the Total Energies CAF Champions League. Experience the incredible action of African football. MC Alger battles it out with Orlando Pirates on Tuesday, 1 April at 9 p.m. live on SABC 1, SABC radio stations, and SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
AvBob Member Rewards is turning 1. To celebrate, AvBob Member Rewards is sharing 200 million Rand with you, AvBob members. You heard right. That's 200 million Rand. Now that's the gift of sharing AvBob mutual value. Qualifying AvBob members opt in before 30 April 2025 to claim your share. Opt in at selfservice.avbob.co.za or visit your nearest AvBob branch for assistance. AvBob, we're here for you. Terms and conditions apply. FSP 20656.
All right. So Iziko Museums of South Africa has reached a monumental milestone, the bicentenary of the South African Museum, which was established back in 1825. This iconic institution, housing more than 10 million artifacts and specimens, is a window to our planet's past, holding the keys to unearth the secrets of our histories. Step into the future, reimagine, explore, and join Iziko on an adventure as they mark 200 years.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
So we thought we'd actually just keep the CEO of the Eastern Cape Provincial Arts and Culture Council, Umonde Nkasawe, and of course Marissa Machaya, creative entrepreneur and film producer from Seismic Media, on the line, and just take up the next 4 or 5 minutes of the show, expanding this. Butmonde, sorry, and I interrupted your thought process earlier on, because we were talking about just what local government in the Eastern Cape, the plans that you have, both short-term and medium-term, to bolster the development and skills transference for the creative sectors. And I think a lot of the times also issues around infrastructure come into play when creatives talk about some of the challenges that they might have in igniting a robust and successful and sustainable industry in the various provinces.
Yeah, indeed, you're correct. There's a number of things that we have to deal with. We've identified and we've put those on our plans for the medium term, relating in particular to infrastructure and to synergizing of policy. You would know, for example, that when we work with municipalities, the key issue in particular with film is film bylaws, which sometimes are not there, and therefore, because they are not there, we tend to miss out on film opportunities, on production opportunities at various locations within the province. So we want to make sure that there is a standard set of norms around that. We also are aware that, especially in the area of crafts, our people still struggle to make meaningful sales of the things that they make, because they can't compete properly, and some do not even have the skills to market their products. So we have a commitment to make sure that, because we know that it's one thing to have a skill to make something, it's quite another to know how to then sell that successfully.
Absolutely.
Some of these things are also, are about some of the influences. We are an open society. You find that you make a product which you think should be sold at a certain price, only to find that it's already available in the market a lot cheaper, and it's made outside of the country. What do we do? Those are the policy issues that we should then make sure that we address consistently, so that we give our people a home ground kind of advantage in terms of the sales that they make. There's a whole range of things with Bridget, but it's a hectic sector. And the platforms that the legislature created yesterday through the Creatives Parliament enable us to also get the feel of artists themselves, to see how they are experiencing the sector, and what other things, in addition to the things that we're already doing, what other things that they would want us to do. So we're really particularly blessed in terms of hearing all of that.
Yeah. Marissa, I think now I really am out of time as we get into the headline news. But just a last nugget from you around, art and its ability to be a catalyst for community development, and even stronger so for national identity.
Yeah, so thank you so much again, guys. I think for us, we need to understand that we live in a time where we live in a country that's, even a globe that's full of misinformation, and how we, especially South Africans, are going to see ourselves over the next couple of years, So I think us as creatives and the constructors of society and social cohesion, we have an opportunity right now to make sure that we change the narrative that is out there about South Africa in terms of the own stories we create, and then more specifically as a region on our side, because we live amongst legends and liberation and heritage are key to the Eastern Cape industry. Those are the stories that need to start coming out now. And I think us at Seismic Media and our sister companies and the collaborators we have on board, we're very intentional about creating authentic stories that will change perceptions about how people see us. So that's something that's really keeping us excited.
Wonderful stuff. I love a lady that's always on time. That was Marissa Machai, a creative entrepreneur and film producer from Seismic Media. And of course, also joining us was Monde Nkasawe, who is the CEO of the Eastern Cape Provincial Arts and Culture Council. 2 o'clock on the dot. Time for the news.
Thank you, Bridget. Top stories at 2 o'clock. Expert highlights criminality in water provision and state of emergency declared in Myanmar following earthquake. Good afternoon. The criminality of the so-called water mafia is severely affecting small-scale farming operations in several parts of the country. This is according to Professor Bridget Masinga, who specializes in water security at UNISA. He was speaking at the two-day National Water and Sanitation Indaba at the Gallagher Convention Centre in Midrand in the northern Johannesburg. Various stakeholders are attending the Indaba, which comes at a time when South Africa is battling a water crisis as a result of aging infrastructure, vandalism and corruption. Professor Meisner says his research has shown that the agricultural industry is taking a major knock.
It's not only the communities in rural areas that suffer under the activities of the water mafia, it's also the agricultural industry. During that time, we also conducted interviews with farmers, and they complained about their borehole pumps being stolen, their pivot irrigation infrastructure being stolen because it can be used for scrap metal, and the electricity supply, like the cables that supply electricity to the pumps.
Search and rescue units from the Northern Cape and Northwest have retrieved the bodies of two boys aged 13 and 14 in Delposhoop who drowned on Wednesday. It's believed the boys attempted to swim in the Harts River. An eyewitness alerted the police and a search was conducted. Provincial Police spokesperson Cheryl Ellis elaborates.
The search operation was hampered due to inclement weather conditions. The Delposhoop Police, together with the Northern Cape and Northwest search and rescue units, worked tirelessly in precarious conditions to recover the bodies of the boys. On Friday, the 28th of March, at approximately 10 a.m., one body was retrieved, and shortly thereafter, the second body was retrieved.
The KwaZulu-Natal Road Traffic Inspectorate has called on motorists to use alternative routes after two crashes on the N3 between Durban and Pietermaritzburg resulted in temporary closures. RTI spokesperson Cindy Msimang has also called on motorists to be cautious as roads are wet due to the rainy conditions. Msimang says one of the crashes happened between Linfield Park and Ashburton, and the other, which involved a truck, occurred in Camperdown on the northbound lane.
Currently, there's two active scenes of accidents. To all the drivers that are on the road today, the road is not so good and the roads are wet. We therefore urge you and advise that please adhere to all the rules of the road. Decrease the speed and adhere to the safe following distance.
The South African Transport and Allied Workers Union has welcomed a judgment by the High Court in Pretoria against Northwest Transport Investment Business Rescue practitioner Thomas Sampsons. The union accused Sampsons of fraud, corruption and failing to pay workers. Though the Provincial Transport Management Department removed him through a court process last November, Sampsons appealed the court ruling. Yesterday, the court ruled that he must be removed with immediate effect, and the case was dismissed. SATAU spokesperson Amanda Chemesa says they will engage with relevant stakeholders to ensure workers are paid their salaries.
Buses are not roadworthy because they are not being serviced. He stole more than 150 million rands. He needs to be prosecuted and pay back every cent that he stole from the public. In November, the Pretoria High Court ruled that Thomas was not fit enough to hold the position. He has never appeared before the provincial legislature to account and take responsibility for his actions. Workers and ordinary South Africans between Northwest and Gauteng were deprived quality service delivery by these corrupt men. We welcome the judgment. We were expecting it.
Finally, further afield, Myanmar's ruling military has declared a state of emergency in multiple regions. This after a 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck in the country. Powerful tremors have caused damage as far afield as the Thai capital Bangkok, 1,000 kilometers to the south. Dozens of workers are reported to be trapped in the rubble of a multi-story building which collapsed while under construction. Bangkok's governor says many high-rise buildings have been affected. The BBC's Lyndall Markwell reports.
I felt the room swaying. I was working from home. I'm only on the first floor of my building. So I came downstairs. Everyone was coming out of the building. The pool on our ground floor was spilling water out of the sides. But once we got out the front of the building, we could see all around us, all the other kind of buildings swaying still. I can see 6 sky rises right now. And there was water dripping down the sides of multiple. There's also one building which is over 38 floors high. There's a sort of very thin bridge that connects 2 buildings. And we've now seen that that's been destroyed.
Recapping the top story, water security expert at UNISA, Professor Bridget Masinga, says criminality of the so-called water mafia is severely affecting small-scale farming operations in several parts of the country. Headlines at 2:30.
Clientele funeral plans provide lasting dignity for you and your family. Plans pay out cash within 24 hours and include grocery, transport, and unveiling benefits. You can cover up to 13 people on one plan. Get peace of mind today. SMS Radio 2000 to 45538. That's Radio 2000 to 45538. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Something big is coming. 6:30 will never be the same. Amalanga Wafani, only on SABC 1.
Get ready for matured sunset vibes at our Kata Lifestyle Center. Join us on March 30th, 2025 for an unforgettable afternoon of music and great entertainment featuring Lucky D, Diamond, Ngosh, Uncle Reggie Philander, and a live performance by Press. Abo Youth and Dala, get ready to groove with us. It's going to be a day to remember for all you soul lovers out there. This message is brought to you in collaboration with the Free State Department of Sport, Arts and Culture.
A big storm is about to hit Mzansi as Daily Lotto will make it rain lots of cash this March with a guaranteed 1 million rand jackpot today. It's raining jackpots left, right and center with a flood of chances to win big. So grab your tickets now for your chance to make every day payday. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old and play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Spar brings you Super Saturday for one day only with incredible savings you can't miss. Get 1.5-litre Coca-Cola regular. Buy 4 for 56 Rand. Save 28 Rand. 440ml Coca-Cola, Fanta, Sprite or Stoney. Any 4 for 36 Rand. Save 16 Rand. Or 300ml Coca-Cola, Fanta, Sprite or Stoney. 6-pack. Any 2 for 70 Rand. Save 36 Rand. Prices valid 29 March only. While stocks last. Spar Rewards. Sign up for more.
Vertex Events invites you to celebrate 10 years of magic music sessions through praise and worship. Celebrating with us, Joyous Celebration, Colin Wamo, Dr. Dumi, Ayanda Danzi, Muso Worship, and Matima, with a special guest service and performance by Pastor M. Chabalala. 26 April at Sunbet Arena Times Square in Pretoria from 3 p.m. Tickets on 450 Rand at Web Tickets and Pick and Pay. Come celebrate with us. The Magic Music Sessions, brought to you by Vertex Events.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
Can
into yasekhaya jakulibala kanjani phezu kwayo yonke nenzela yona awu kuzo zonke izinto engibonise zona engekho nokulibala yo into engekho yenzeke leyo kum nakum kanti nakum futhi engekho.
It is the legend Ringo Malingos coming through on this one. Always so magnetic to see him on stage. He really just gives off his all. I think it goes back to the essence of the conversation we were having last Friday with Vusi Nova, who, in my opinion, comes from that musical lineage of the Ringo Malingos that opened the door a generation before. And we're speaking to the essence of artists when they come on stage and just giving their all to the craft and to the audience. And Ringo absolutely does it. You know what I also loved? I love the fact that when we were in conversation with Vusi Nova and we asked about that, he mentioned the fact that anytime he gets on stage, he's come to realize and accept that he does not uza nabantu. Let's put it in Yesintu. Uza nabantu. He comes with people, as in he comes with his ancestors. He comes with all of that reverence. And so he does not enter that stage alone, and he lets all of them take over in performance. And I think Ringo Malingos is likewise. It's just gone 2:15 on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, right here on SAFM, leading the conversations, or having the conversations that lead the nation, rather. Let's take a quick pause, and then we'll come back. We'll catch up with Unambita Ben Mazwai, affectionately known as Lady Nam, and she's an award-winning actress and entrepreneur, and we'll just find out what she's up to this year.
Think bigger than just a banking partner. Think a team of specialized experts supporting you to make better financial decisions to enable your growth aspirations. Think a strategic partnership providing indispensable advice to help you make the right moves. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. For more information, visit nedbank.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
I am Dr. Nobuhle Nkabane, the Minister of Higher Education and Training. National Student Financial Aid Scheme has grown from a budget of 33 million in 1991, serving 7,240 students, to about 54 billion in 2024, supporting over 1 million students. In the 2025-2026 financial year, NSFAS is allocated 48.7 billion, including 39.3 billion for universities, 9.1 billion for TVET institutions. As we gradually implement the comprehensive funding model, we will continue to work with all funding stakeholders to ensure that multiple bursary schemes are consolidated. NSFAS has supported more than 5 million beneficiaries, producing hundreds of thousands of skilled professionals and the middle class, especially from within the poor and working class sections of our society. We are committed to moving post-school education and training forward, and we wish all our students well in this academic year.
The boxing ring will be dominated by strong and heavy punchers. Who will be named the King of Gauteng? Between Manuel Sekele and Simon Mweti. In the flyweight division, Tiamo Zwane of Northwest battles it out with KZN's Bonelo Maseko. Also in the flyweight division, there is more exciting bouts this Friday evening. This is the National Boxing Championship. Witness the powerful exchange of punches this Friday, 28 March at 6:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Museums of South Africa has reached a monumental milestone, the bicentenary of the South African Museum, which was established back in 1825. So this iconic institution houses more than 10 million artifacts and specimens and is a window to our planet's past, holding the keys to unearth the secrets of our histories. You can step into the future, reimagine, explore, and join Iziko on an adventure as they mark 200 years.
Arts, culture, and robust conversations with Bridget Masinga.
All right, let us catch up now with award-winning South African artist Unambita Ben Mzwayi, affectionately known as Lady Nam. And she needs no introduction because she has really been at the forefront of some of your favorite productions as leading lady, the likes of Savage Beauty on Netflix, Mpini on Showmax, Happiness Ever After, and so the list goes on, as well as the remake of King Shaka. And recently, having won Best Actress for 2024 for both her iconic roles on Savage Beauty and Mpini at the #1 Global Awards Film and TV Awards, which was held in the UK. How are you doing?
I'm good, Bridget. How are you, Sis Wamp?
I'm fantastic. I'm awesome. I mean, where does one find the time, Nambita? You are constantly working and busy. Where do you find the time? But also, what is that? More importantly, what is that testament to?
That why. I always say, have a good why, because there are times when it gets hard. And I'm sure you can relate, being in the creative and media space. At some points, we are entrepreneurs, we're independent contractors. And at times it's like, there are those moments where it's hard to get out of bed and show up. So my why is what I hold so dear to my heart. I am a business scientist by qualification. I worked as a strategist in corporate. So for me, this was a big sacrifice to say, you know what, I'm going to leave all of that. And I was, very comfortable, living a very comfortable life and leaving security to pursue what I feel and know is my calling. So my why is very firm, my why is what keeps me going. I have been very fortunate and blessed by God to be booked and busy, but also from the outside looking in, it looks like that, right? But people don't really see the rejections and the hardships and the challenges. They see the glory. So for me, the reality, as yes, I have been blessed, but man, it's a fight every day, and overcoming those obstacles. But I would not choose to do anything else. I am so fulfilled because this is what I love to do, and this is what I was born to do, and this is how I feel I will be able to impact and change the world.
It's always so interesting when creatives have what I've always referred to in my career as a B-side. So you start off with your A-side where, convention said, qualify as a business scientist, get into the corporate world, follow the route that will bring you security, riches, progress, career trajectory. But you decided to flip the tables and go to the B-side and say, no, but actually my identity lies in the creativity. It relies, it lays there in the uncertainty, but that is certain to me. And I always find how one gets to recognizing that and then confidently transitioning.
I wouldn't say it only lies there. I have an award-winning media company that I've been running. I still need that left side of my brain to be stimulated. I am not whole. I'm literally a 50-50, and I'm actually just constantly in conflict with myself. Like, if that makes any sense, and it's been, trying to find that balance. And trying to also make them work together. And I found that perfect marriage. And in that, being a creative and also being a strategist and an A-type who needs to make sure that things, make sense and bottom line and switch that, side off, the creative side off. But I found a beautiful marriage in it. And I think more artists need to, treat themselves as businesses and do strategies and quarterly reviews and be a bit more strategic and find longevity in how they really approach the entertainment and media space. So it's weird because I find I need the order in having a plan and a strategy. But then when I'm on that set or on stage and I get to really delve into a character I get this immense freedom and healing in finding beauty in the uncertainty and vulnerability. So it's almost like one balances the other. I need both of them, you know, to truly feel fulfilled. As I hope that makes sense to you, because in my brain it does. It took a while for me to get there and to explain it to people, because once I'm in a boardroom pitching, it's a totally different person. People also get confused. And then when I'm on set, it's a different side that gets switched on as well, you know, and I will constantly need, there's a time and a place for everything, and seasons for everything. So, you know, as I grow, and I know that for me, you know, I don't think I'll ever stop being an actor. But I want to get to a point where I'm not reliant on it, and I get to choose the projects, and it's really just, you know, oh man, I get to tell my own stories, and producing is where really everything lies. You know, I want to create stories, give others a platform as well, and nurture talent, and leave an impact. But you know, be at an age where I'm 60 and I'm like, you know what, I would love to do that auto biopic. Let's see, you know, let's go back into it, but not having to rely on it in a sense.
I love what you said, and it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense to me, and I think to a lot of creatives as well, a lot of you know, creative artists, it makes sense. It's just a case perhaps where I feel from my perception through conversations, where people fall short is in the comfort of harnessing that other muscle, right? Because you sort of, you feel like you're born creative, and creativity is your identity, but you also recognize that you have this business acumen, you have this other brain, you just don't have the comfortability, the confidence that comes in you activating it. But very important for creatives like yourselves also to speak on it, and to go out into the industries and action it, so that it can have a ripple effect, particularly on younger artists, to think differently.
Absolutely. I actually had an opportunity to do this. I have a women's empowerment movement called She Speaks by Lady Nam. And in 2020, I got this opportunity. Well, before things, you know, changed, before the world changed, it was February 2020, a month before COVID. And, you know, I had started the Business of the Arts workshop, and I started it back home, you know, because for me, it's very important to start where it all started for me, and to plow back. And that success from it was mind-blowing, you know, and I had people from Tata, which is a good, you know, 6 hours away drive through, and we were going to go on a, you know, provincial to different provinces and a tour, and the demand really peaked. And of course, as you know, COVID hit a month later. But that's something I definitely want to bring back. As I'm planning towards relaunching She Speaks, I saw such a huge need. I see it amongst my peers as well, you know, daily on set. And it is something that, you know, unfortunately, I don't want to call institutions out, but for those who have studied, you know, filmmaking or, you know, performance, there's no module on this, and it's mind-boggling for me. It's like, how do you not teach the business of the entertainment industry? How do you not equip the students with this? How is it not included as a module, you know? And that was something new that I'd learned from my peers, you know, who have graduated and studied performance and have their honors, but then there's this huge gap where they're not equipped with that side. So, you know, I take it upon myself. It is my competitive advantage. So any opportunity I have, definitely, it's something I will always, you know, advocate for.
I mean, let me put you in the hot box in our final moments together. Your favorite characters to sort of portray. And which part of your personality do they speak to, if any?
Listen, I'm a nutcase, because if you look at my resume, like, my reel is like, I have a rule. I don't play the same character twice. And, you know, it was very important for me to showcase my range, and also to always challenge myself, you know, where I've played, you know, an American who's got a paranoid schizophrenia on the Queen, Shaquisha, which still to this day, people are just like, how did you do that? Like, you were in that case, and we thought you were American. and then of course an LGBTQ plus role on Savage Beauty, where now I'm having people saying, "Usho awidlaleli le rainbow team ka WhatsApp," and I'm like, no, but I mean, thanks. That means I really represent it quite well. To obviously, rom-com Girl Next Door, to an action hero on Mbini and showcasing my love for Muay Thai, because I am a tomboy, even though I am Lady Nam. And it really is, for me, I always want to stretch myself. I feel like we are multidimensional people. I feel like people are complex. Of course, I think at the heart of everything, comedy as well, I've done on How to Ruin Christmas. I feel like that's where I get to really be myself, honestly. I love just being like a goofball. I am such a weirdo, and I love just wit and humor, and especially intellectual humor. So that's where I really get to play. I really do miss a comedy, because I think with Mbini I've entered such dark places, because it is a role of a young lady with PTSD, and I've been stretched with my mental health as well. I've needed to protect it. But I think for me, the more closer to truth, the more closer to my life story, as a woman, the everyday things that I've gone through, I'm an advocate for dark skin magic. I talk very openly about being bullied when I was younger for my dark skin, this, that. So for me, telling stories of what we as young girls and women have gone through, what we tackle, and something that I know will hit home and really heal the audience. Those, for me, those purpose roles, those dramas that will really force me to really dig deep, are probably my most favorite, because that for me is my why. It's if I'm not making a difference, if I'm not healing you through storytelling, what am I doing?
Absolutely. Nambita Ben Mazwai, it's been fabulous being in conversation with you, and we appreciate the time this afternoon. That was award-winning actress Nambita Ben Mazwai. It's just gone 2:30. Otsile is standing by with the headline news, and then we'll come out of that and get into some kids programming before we come back and wrap up the show.
Thank you, Bridget. Good afternoon. The Post Bank has clarified that the deadline for social grant beneficiaries to replace their gold SASSA cards with the new black Post Bank cards is May and not April. This follows comments by a minister in the presidency, Khumbuzo Ntshavheni, during a post-cabinet briefing yesterday, where she stated that the deadline had been extended to the 30th of April. Water security expert Professor Bridget Masinga says the criminality of the so-called water mafia is severely affecting small-scale farming operations in several parts of the country. And Russia's President Vladimir Putin has suggested that Ukraine be placed under a transitional administration under the auspices of the United Nations. Details at 3:00.
And then, how? SK, where are you going with that stuff?
My dog, I'm going whale watching. New hobby, you see. Finally going out to explore the world. Giri levels, Dwana.
I see the life jacket, but I don't know how an inflatable boat, megaphone, and a fishing rod fits into all of this.
How else am I going to get to the whales, bongs? I need the boat. The megaphone is to do my whale calls, and the fishing rod, it's called ambiance. Ambiance. If you don't get it, forget about it.
Okay, but SK, there aren't any whales here in Germiston Lake.
Ooh, shem, Mr. Know-it-all. Whales live in the water, and Germiston Lake has water.
Hi, sure, Ntwana, go whale watching in Germiston Lake. Me, I'll tune into Whale with Steve Buckshall, Sundays at 5 p.m. only on S3.
It's always, hey, choose my kettle. It's this or that, Baba. But why? Why can't I service my car and pay for my wedding service as well? With a Nedbank personal loan, that's a rhetorical question, because I can do both with access of up to 400,000 Rand at the best interest rate that is customized for me.
Don't let cash flow hold you back. Apply for your Nedbank personal loan online today. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
SASSA Gold Card beneficiaries can still come and collect their new Postbank Black Card. Avoid the risk of not receiving your grant and join over 1.3 million beneficiaries that are already conveniently receiving their grant using the Postbank Black Card. There are multiple selected outlets nationwide where you can swap out your SASSA Gold Card for the new Postbank Black Card, or simply dial star 120 star 355 hash to find one near you. Standard rates apply. Postbank, your bank.
And welcome to Nali Bali. Have you ever helped someone carry something heavy or shared your lunch with a friend who forgot theirs? Helping others is a wonderful thing because kindness always finds its way back to us. When we help others, we make the world a better place. And one day when we need help, someone will be there for us too. Today's story is called Goli, written by Kai Tuomi. But before we listen to today's story, let's all get up and dance! Street Dog lived in a small town far from the city. He had fierce black eyes and a skinny yellow body. The people in the town often saw Street Dog running through the streets or eating rubbish from the beans or sleeping near the edge of the field where the older children played soccer. Street Dog did not like humans. Whenever a human dared to come close, he would bark and growl at them. This made people scared of Street Dog. They would close their doors or shout at him whenever he came out at night to eat rubbish from the beans. Even the older children who often played soccer would sometimes kick their ball at Street Dog to scare him off. Things went on like this for a long time, until one day, while out scavenging for food, Street Dog came across a little girl called Mo. She was young and had not seen Street Dog nor heard what people said about him. She didn't know that people sometimes treated Street Dog badly. All Mo saw was a sad, skinny yellow dog eating rubbish. Mo was not scared at all.
Aw, hello, doggy,
she said.
You look hungry.
Before Street Dog could bark or growl, Mo opened a school bag and took out her lunchbox. Inside the lunchbox was a peanut butter jam sandwich Mama made for her. Mo broke the sandwich in half and held one half out to Street Dog. He raised an ear, but then he took the piece of sandwich Mo had offered.
Good doggy,
said Mo as Street Dog ran off to eat the delicious sandwich under the bridge where he sometimes chased rats. The next day, Street Dog found Mo again. And again, Mo gave Street Dog half of a sandwich. This went on for many months until Street Dog was no longer skinny. Street Dog had also stopped wanting to bark and growl at Mo. Now he simply ate what she offered him, and sometimes he even wagged his tail. But one day, something terrible happened. A few of the older children, the ones who often played soccer on the field, had started walking around the village causing trouble. They took turns kicking their ball at things. Sometimes they broke windows and sometimes they knocked people over. And then they found more. The older children made fun of Mo for feeding Street Dog. They then tried to knock her over with a soccer ball. But before they could, something big and yellow jumped out from behind the beans. It was Street Dog. He barked and growled. The older children got such a fright that they tripped and fell over.
Good doggy,
said Mo.
Oh, it's only a street dog,
said one of the boys, hopping to his feet and taking aim with the soccer ball. The boy kicked the soccer ball, but Street Dog did not move or run away. He stood his ground, protecting Mo. The soccer ball hit Street Dog on the leg. He yelped in pain. Mo rushed over to help him as the children ran off laughing.
you saved me,
said Mo, tears streaming down her cheeks. Mo picked Street Dog up and with difficulty she carried him home.
Mama! Mama, help! Mama, please help me!
Called Mo as she walked in the door out of breath.
Mama, help! Help, please! This doggy's leg was hurt while he was trying to protect me. Mama, please, we have to help him. Poor thing,
said Mama.
Let's take him to the animal shelter straight away.
There were lots of animals at the animal shelter. They were noisy and Street Dog was scared. But his leg was so sore and he trusted Mo that Street Dog let the vet who smelled of kids give him a bath and bandage his leg. Once the vet was done, he gave Street Dog back to Mo.
All done. I think your street dog will be just fine,
said the vet.
Oh, he's a good doggy, isn't he? What's his name?
Mo thought for a moment.
I don't know. He never told me.
She answered. Mama laughed.
All dogs need a name, Mo, and a good home. So, does that mean we can keep him?
Mo asked with a big grin. Mama nodded.
But first, he needs a name.
Mo thought again.
What about... Goalie,
she said.
Goalie?
Asked the vet.
That's a funny name for a dog. Why would you want to call him Goalie, though?
Mo's smiles got even bigger.
Because he stopped the soccer ball for me, duh.
She said. That night, Goalie did not run through the village, nor eat rubbish from the beans, nor sleep near the edge of the field where older children often played soccer. Goalie ate a big bowl of delicious chicken-flavored dog food and then went to sleep happy and warm on a little cushion at the foot of Mo's bed. And so we come to the end of another Nali Bali story time. Today's story was called Goalie, written by Kai Tuomi. Did you know that reading and telling stories to children at home can help them do better at school? If you want free stories to read to your children or for your children to enjoy on their own, visit the Nali Bali website www.nalibali.org or Mobi site www.nalibali.mobi. You will find stories in 11 South African languages as well as tips for reading and sharing stories with your children to grow their potential. Also look out for the bilingual Nali Bali Reading for Enjoyment supplement with great children's stories and activities available in newspapers. Nali Bali, it starts with a story.
It is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, or unfair blacklisting. Clientele legal plans are affordable. and you receive up to 670,000 rands worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our legal team will be your support 24 hours a day. SMS Radio 2000 to 31372. That's Radio 2000 to 31372. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and a licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Floods, wildfires, droughts. Climate change is here, impacting our communities. But South Africa has a plan. Just Transition. Led by President Cyril Ramaphosa, the Presidential Climate Commission is driving a low-carbon, climate-resilient economy, cutting emissions while creating jobs, skills, and social support. By investing in green industries and clean energy, we can build a fairer society for all. Action starts with open conversations between government, businesses, and communities. The time is now. Join the movement. Hashtag Climate Action Now. Hashtag Just Transition SA. This message is brought to you by GCIS.
A big storm is about to hit Mzansi as Daily Lotto will make it rain lots of cash this March with a guaranteed 1 million rand jackpot today. It's raining jackpots left, right and center with a flood of chances to win big. So grab your tickets now for your chance to make every day payday. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old and play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
The South African Council for Education denounces violence against teachers and violations of their dignity and humanity. It therefore calls upon the public, parents and learners to protect and respect teachers' rights because their rights are human rights too. Let us show them appreciation, respect and, of course, the support that they deserve.
Stages, pages, screens and more with Bridget Masinga.
My excitement in every time we played those Lotto commercials, suddenly I get excited because I'm thinking, maybe this will be my week. Just never know, hey? Just never know. There will be signs. I would not tell y'all, but there would be signs of, okay, she hit the jackpot. We are coming back to wrap up the final moments of the show. And we're getting into stages, pages, screens, and more. The Wits Arts Museum has been hosting the work of South Africa's cultural icon, Ugogo, Dr. Esther Mahlangu. And this exhibition is on until the 17th of April. It's in its final legs now, titled Then I Knew I Was Good at Painting, Esther Mahlangu, the retrospective. And we're in conversation with curator Unontobeko Ntombela. How are you doing this afternoon, Unontobeko?
Very well. How are you doing, Bridget?
I'm fantastic. Thank you very much. I'm great. It's been a whirlwind for anybody that, hasn't been sort of focused on this retrospective, but it's been a whirlwind year and a half for yourself, as well as Gogo Esther Mahlangu, as you've embarked on the journey of bringing this to art lovers, not just in Johannesburg. It first opened up in Cape Town in 23 actually.
24.
24, beginning 24.
Yes.
Yes.
So that was 18 February 2024. It's been an incredible journey, and so much of reception and love from the public. Of course, the institutions themselves have been putting in all the hard work to make sure that the exhibitions are reaching as wide a public as possible. It's bittersweet. It's a long journey. We're all kind of being on it for this while, as you say. But we really are also very pleased at how much people have responded and have enjoyed the show, have spoken about it. And we're sad that it's coming to an end.
Talk to us about the genesis of this project, because I think the retrospective has been a long time coming, and obviously the genesis of it and your involvement in it from the beginning.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that it's very important to recognize that not many South African artists have Mom Esther's generation get the opportunity to be celebrated or be given their flowers, as many people phrase it, while they're still alive. And so it's an opportunity that has been important to seize, and we're really fortunate for the sponsorship that we've been able to have to be able to do this. It's very hard to convince sponsors to say invest in one single artist and give them the opportunity for us to see what the impact over years. And it's a really, really important gesture that South Africa has done to Mom Esther, because of course she's known worldwide. You know, you say her name and people immediately know who you're talking about. But back at home, we've never seen this body of work come together. We think we know her work, and we've seen her work in snippets and group shows or solo shows, but those have been temporary, and they've also been very recent works and not the earlier work. So to see the journey all the way from the 80s and to understand where she's been thinking about herself as an artist from a young girl of 10 years has been really an important, an honor and a gesture of respect to say that we understand what she's contributed to this country. We really respect what she's done for us as a country. You know, as much as she's celebrated as an Ndebele artist, she's been an ambassador for South Africa, and the fact that our flag is being raised from someone who's coming from the Ndebele community is significant. And we owed her that much to be able to really pay tribute to her as an artist, and to really show that we actually can do these things. We can pull ourselves together and put exhibitions of this kind of caliber and nature, and we can honor our own.
Let's rewind back to, and you've spent a lot of time in preparation for this exhibition, but also a lot of time in research, in academic research of South African art and artists like Mom Esther, Gogo Esther Mahlangu. Paint us a history of a young Gogo Esther Mahlangu, you know, because for all South Africans, all we've ever known is Ugogo Esther Mahlangu, but you know, we are unfamiliar with the young 10-year-old Ndebele girl and where she drew her influences as an artist.
Yes, thank you for that opportunity. Of course, the exhibition is called Then I Knew I Was Good at Painting, Esther Mahlangu Retrospective, and it's based on a story that she often tells, that at 10 years old, she would watch her mother and grandmother paint. And an opportunity when they take breaks, she would take to go and try out what the same patterns that they have been doing. For some time, obviously, she wasn't as good. They would chase her away. But eventually, they saw, you know, that she's really serious about this, and they called her to the front. And it is this moment where they called her to the front that she says, then I knew I was good at painting. So the research of the exhibition had to really travel with her throughout these stories that she's told over time. And I spent quite a number of times going back and visiting her, looking at her own archives, going to institutions that she's worked with in the past, to make sure that we map the narrative that accurately maps out this imagination of a 10-year-old. And you will see, and as you have seen, the exhibition has a feast of a timeline that really allows us to see beyond the paintings on the wall, an archive and stories and journeys that she's made throughout the world, murals that she's painted all over the world, exhibitions that she's been part of. But of course, we have the tangible objects that are in the show. As you know, I really celebrated a BMW 525i art car. It's there for us to feast our eyes on, and many works that are as old as 1991. Everybody gets excited that these are her earlier canvas work, and this is when she was translating her work from the wall to paintings.
And you know, as much as her signature has become synonymous with that BMW art car, the 525i, which made its historic return, I also want to rewind to the moment that launched the internationalness of Ugogo Esther, because I think very little is known as to what was that moment, that spark, that recognition that had the global world going, oh wait, who is this tiny little woman from the southern tip of Africa doing these geometric paintings?
So, and then maybe two-pronged response is that Mam Esther, before she launches into the world, is already known. She's part of a museum called Bochabelo where she worked from the 80s. And of course it is important to signal this, because this is what, and the fact that she was already known for her unique contribution in her own community was the letter of invitation. This is what led to the big moment. People in the art world will know this moment because it was significant for artists world over. The 1989 Magicians de la Terre, which is translated Magicians of the Earth. And this exhibition was an important one in Paris, Pompidou Center, where curators came visiting the world and artists and looking for artists who were underrepresented, particularly Aboriginal artists. And they came to South Africa looking for and basing it on a book that had been published on the Ndebele artists. And the curator was so impressed with Mam Esther that she was invited to be part of this big exhibition. And this was the moment. She's first time traveling overseas. She's the first woman, Ndebele woman, to be traveling overseas. This is no small feat, because imagine she's going into a world she didn't know. But more so, she's going to be plugged into a conversation with other international artists. So that 1989 moment was so significant that it is that moment that often in the art world we know that this was the changing moment of her career, that allowed the world to see her magnificence. And you know, it is from that moment where her work took off. She's been part of many significant shows, and many we don't even know she's been part of. Biennales like Lyon Biennale, and the Castle 5-year exhibition, where it takes artists many years to achieve. Esther has been part of quite fluidly and very easy, because she talks about this. It's easy for her because she really immerses herself in her work, and she approaches it from that place of really being passionate about her work. So yeah, it's really like a treat. As you say, many South Africans don't know that there is that 80s moment that was really pivotal.
Absolutely. And of course, the highlight of this exhibition is the return of that BMW art car 525i, which and the first time touching on South African soil in 30 years. But it also forms part of a greater collection, because there's 100 artworks here that have been loaned from international collectors, some never seen, for public viewing before.
Absolutely. The art car is really important, of course, because it shows us this meeting of art, technology, and culture. And it's made in 1991. South Africa was a particular history at the time. And for South African artists to be acknowledged in this way was a significant career elevation. And of course, it toured South Africa in 1991 and went to many places, but left ever since. So we have an opportunity to see this car live after 34 years. And this is a treat I think many people underestimate, because we don't know when it will come back. And we see it in pictures so much that we think we know what it looks like. But there's something happens, as you would have seen, when you see it live yourself. But also, as you say, the many works that have been seen in the show are works that we don't have the opportunity to see. Many of our earlier works are owned by international owners. And because she becomes famous in the 80s, and it takes us a long time before she becomes important in South Africa. In fact, it was only in 2003 that she had her first solo show in Cape Town. So there's a period where many of her works don't exist in South Africa. Of course, many people have realized this and are trying to back by, in a way, collect her work. But the narrative is, or the structure of the art world is that you buy your own work, you put it in your home, and it's tucked in your home and only your friends can see. And the public doesn't get to see. So we have an opportunity. Many collectors who've been so generous to lend us the work for the exhibition that we actually get to see this trajectory, this time stamp, and this journey that she's made from those paintings of collectors. And they're going to go back to their homes. So we have this one opportunity to see all of this.
Nontobeko, it's always a pleasure, and thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge around Mum Esther and in general the art world, curator of the Esther Mahlangu retrospective. Then I knew I was good at painting. Currently at the Wits Arts Museum, I had the pleasure of launching it in Johannesburg in conversation with Nontobeko and Ugoko Mum Esther as we celebrated her 89th birthday that evening, and what a spectacular party it was. So you still have an opportunity until the 17th of April at the Wits Arts Museum. From myself and my team, have an incredible weekend. Stay safe, stay dry. Ashraf is coming through straight after the news. Inshallah, God willing, we do it again.
Top stories at 3 o'clock. SASSA card transition extended to May, and Mapisa Ngakula's corruption case postponed to next Friday. Good afternoon. The Post Bank has clarified that the deadline for social grant beneficiaries to replace their gold SASSA cards with the new black Post Bank cards is May and not April. This follows comments by Minister in the Presidency Khumbudzo Ntshavheni during a post-cabinet briefing yesterday, where she stated that the deadline had been extended to the 30th of April. Post Bank says there's been confusion over the cut-off date. So far, 1.3 million of the 2.6 million beneficiaries have successfully made the switch. Postbank CEO Nikki Mbengashe briefed the media in Pretoria.
We wanted to clarify. We know that there is some confusion in the media in terms of the dates that is speaking to April. Please take this as the confirmed extension of the use of the SASSA Gold Card this 2 months. So we are pleading with the media to please help us. We apologize for that confusion that was created, but we will really truly appreciate the media helping us to clarify that people have April, the whole of April, and the whole of May.
Water security expert Professor Bridget Masinga says the criminality of the so-called water mafia is severely affecting small-scale farming operations in several parts of the country. Masinga was speaking at the two-day National Water and Sanitation Indaba at the Gallagher Convention Centre in Midrand, Johannesburg.
It's not only the communities in rural areas that suffer under the activities of the water mafia, it's also the agricultural industry. During that time we also conducted interviews with farmers, and they complained about their borehole pumps being stolen, their pivot irrigation infrastructure being stolen because it can be used for scrap metal, and the electricity supply, like the cables that supply electricity to the pumps.
The defense in the bail application of former SAA board member Ntombiakhe Gwinana has accused the state of employing delay tactics in the matter. It argues that this is a deliberate attempt to keep Gwinana in custody for a long period. She's been arrested for a period of 2 weeks. Gwinana faces charges of extortion and malicious damage to property. Her legal representative, Zama Somahela, believes her client is being prejudiced.
We really feel that it is intended to prejudice my client. If one can follow the record of this bail application, it will be seen that at all times the delays were caused by the state. From the time this matter started, delays were orchestrated by the state.
Former National Assembly Speaker Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula's corruption case has been postponed to next Friday. She appeared in the High Court in Pretoria today. Mapisa-Nqakula is facing 12 charges of corruption and one of money laundering. Following her last court appearance in January, the defence and the state agreed to sit to discuss the disclosure of 2 sections of the docket. However, the state has only disclosed one of them. Defence lawyer advocate Reginald Willis has argued that the state's failure to disclose the outstanding section is tantamount to abusing due process.
Well, if everyone has regard to the long history of this matter set out in our founding affidavit, the background facts, all of which your Lordship is aware of, and I'm not going to waste your Lordship's time in revisiting that. Our client has been dragged to court according to what we describe in our papers as either an abuse of process or a complete failure of due process.
And finally, further afield, Russia's President Vladimir Putin has suggested that Ukraine be placed under a transitional administration under the auspices of the United Nations. In response, a Ukrainian minister says Putin constantly puts forward crazy ideas to delay peace. The BBC's James Landell has the details.
Vladimir Putin has long claimed Ukraine's government is illegitimate. That's because elections here have been put on hold, legally by martial law and practically by the chaos of war. President Putin claimed a transitional administration could be introduced in Kiev under the auspices of the United Nations. Elections could then be held, he said, to bring to power what he called a capable government, which could begin peace talks. For once, Donald Trump's White House chose not to echo Mr. Putin's narrative. A National Security Council spokesman said Ukraine's governance was determined by its constitution and people.
Recapping the top story, the Postbank has clarified that the deadline for social grant beneficiaries to replace their gold SASSA cards with the new black Postbank cards is May and not April. For SAFM News, I'm Utsile Saku, back with headlines at 3:30.
And coming up in your sports, the Sao Mamelodi Sundowns get a boost ahead of their Nedbank Cup quarter-final with Zwane back in the squad. Over in Hong Kong, the Blitzboks dominate Uruguay but fall to Australia in the sevens. And in cricket, rain disrupts play at both the Wanderers and Supersport Park. More details at 3:30.
Ladies and gentlemen, grab your umbrellas and grab your lottery tickets. A big storm is about to hit Mzansi because the National Lottery is making it rain millions with huge jackpots this March. It's raining millions left, right and center with a flood of chances to win big. So grab your tickets now and you could be our next big winner. Buy your tickets now in store or nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529